spooky friends, and welcome to another episode of Storytime with the Scariest Podcast.
Woo.
I'm Robin.
Woo!
Fuck.
Woo!
What? You look how red you made the thing.
Hey, that hurt, by the way. All I'm going to say is people have been complaining that I haven't been wooing loud enough. And we record pretty late, and sometimes I don't want to fucking wake people up when I woo, and then I've just had quieter woos doing story time. So there you go, a regular woo and an annoyed Robin per use.
I'm Robin Grace, this is Adam Diaz,
Hello.
and we're here to fucking blow out your eardrums.
I'm going to have to fix that so much in post, because it spiked the fuck out of the audio track. Feel bad for anyone who's watching or listening live. My bad, dogs. So yeah, we're going to be doing the story time thing, which means we're going to be reading Homegrown Horrors. Homegrown Horrors, the wonderful stories sent in by our listeners/viewers that go over spiritual, supernatural, spooky, kooky, coincidental, things like that. Paranormal, sometimes extraterrestrial or true crime related in nature. Robin, for folks who had something like that that's happened to them, a friend or a family member, how can they reach out to us with their story?
You can send it to our email, storytime@scariest.com. You can also reach out to us on social media. Oh, we have a website, scariest.com. If you go there, go to the Contact Us page, there's a form, you fill that out, and we get it that way.
Indeed. So send them on in. We would love to read them. Also, let us know, hey, it's okay to read this on the show, because that is important to us to get your permission. We're going to be reading 4 Homegrown Horrors tonight. Robin, would you like to start, or would you like me to start?
I'll start.
Okay. I will hand over the mouse, and you can go ahead and take on over then.
All right. So the first email of the night is the title is Room 401.
It sounds like a book.
It does sound like a book. Isn't there a book with
1408.
Is it 14? That's
Pretty
the one
sure.
with John Cusack?
Yep. Well, I mean, the movie's with John Cusack. The book is not with John Cusack.
Yeah, it's like, this character is John Cusack. Okay, so it goes. Hello, spooky friends.
Hello.
Hello. John from Texas again. Hello. Anyways, here's a story that happened to me years ago. It's long, so bear with me. It doesn't look too long, so we'll see. Okay, so around 2010, I was working security at a very old condo in our downtown area. The condo is old, and there is a lot of stories I have, but I'm going to tell you the best one. So the shifts were 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., days and nights. New girl and I were working the night shift. So when we get there, the shift before says, okay, guys, you're going to have a quote-unquote an interesting night.
Oh, shit.
They said a resident had died, and right now they were trying to get the body down the elevator from the 4th floor. The elevators were tiny, so they wanted to hold the body in a body bag standing up,
Whoa.
but wanted security with them. The other shift was stalling because they didn't want to do it. Jerks.
What assholes.
So during the hours, one guard would stay in a shack by the entrance while the other patrolled the condo floors, surrounding area, and we would switch off every hour. So I had to be the one to go up. The family was waiting on the ground floor along with the condo manager, who said, go up and ride with the guys to bring the body down, please. As soon as I get there, they carry the body into the elevator with me while the neighbors watched. The man who died was a huge man, and of course, while we were going down, the body began to slide over onto me. Not sure what part of the body I was pushing on, but I pushed the body back towards the corner. I began to feel uneasy and creeped out, but the elevator reached the ground floor, and it was over. The family was devastated and asked me through tears if I could go back up to the condo and turn off all the lights, because they weren't going to be staying there tonight. Of course, I had to say yes. That's just like... just
What are you
imagine,
going to say, you know?
Imagine that being your job, though. That you had to ride this elevator down. You know, ugh.
I would prefer to not imagine that. That sounds traumatizing.
Big no for me. I radioed my partner to tell her what I was going to do, but she said it was her patrol, so she would do it. The shack was facing forward towards the streets and entrance, so behind us to our left was rows of back patios of the 13th floor condo. 13 floors? Of course it's 13 floors. Oh,
shit. This is why you skipped the 13th floor.
I mean, come on. So before I entered the shack, I could see the 4th floor's patio light up, or lit up, meaning all the lights were on inside. A half hour later, my partner radios that it's done, lights were off, and that she was creeped out, so I told her to come back. Everything was calm until after midnight. I was in the middle of my patrol when my partner radioed me and said, hey, did any of the family members come back? I said, no, not on my watch. She said, well, the lights are back on.
Fuck no.
I started to feel creeped out again, and no way in hell was I going back up there. I said, well, just keep an eye on it, and if a family member did come back, they'll shut the lights off. She agreed, and we left it alone. Around 2 or 3 in the morning, we get a call from a resident asking if we knew if the family from 401 had returned that night. My partner said she wasn't aware of it, but asked why. The resident said, well, I'm in 402 next door, and I keep hearing a lot of moving around, and it sounds like someone's banging on the wall. Get out! Get out!
I immediately go to, like, is there a family member who went back in there and is, like, looking for something valuable?
But they're the security, so they would have seen someone go back in.
I mean, that doesn't mean there's not, like, sneaky thieves.
Or what if this person died or was murdered and the killer is still in there?
I mean, I'd imagine he would try and leave rather than just bang on the walls.
Or if they're looking for something valuable, maybe.
So, yeah, you went back to my thief idea, but you made it a murderer who's also trying to steal.
The condos were old, and so were the residents, so we had a lot of these kinds of calls. Our procedures were to write it down and go to the condo to look. So it's my turn. I take the elevator back up and find myself sweating, nervous in front of 401. I knocked a few times, but to no answer. We had a master key to any condo, so I used mine to open the door. I poke my head in and say hello. Of course, no one answers, so I reach for the lights and turn them off and ran out. I locked up and told my partner it was done. No one was inside. Around 6 a.m., the resident calls again. She says the same thing, that she hears banging on the walls from 401. I told her I was up there and no one was inside. Worried, she asked if we could go check again. The sun was barely coming up, but it was still dark enough to see the lights in 401 had come back on. So beyond freaked out, the dogs made a sound and it scared me. So beyond freaked out, we both looked at each other and said, fuck no. We both decided to wait until 7 a.m. to let the next shift handle it.
Hell yeah.
We both were off the next day, so we never heard an update or info on what happened. We both were just glad that night was over. That's a really good story. That's terrifying, though.
You should definitely get a hold of whoever came in at 7 a.m. and be like, hey, long time no talk. First of all, fuck you for making me take that elevator ride with the dead body. Second of all, what happened after we left with the room? Because I am so curious what's going on here, because it is one thing for a family member to come back, look for something, even if they're just trying to snag something. But if you were going to try and take something from the place, from that particular room, you would not turn the lights on and broadcast that you were there, you know? You take a flashlight, you be sneaky. If it was a murderer like Robin's insisting who decided not to flee the scene, you wouldn't keep putting the lights on and throw yourself against the walls and shit.
Yeah.
And more importantly, when security came and walked through and there was no one in there, you wouldn't be like,
no, they
all right,
didn't
time
walk
to do it
through.
again. Well, it came in.
He poked his head in and looked around and then
turned off the lights.
He didn't even look in, he didn't sweep. He didn't do a sweep of the condo. He just poked his head in and was like, hello,
Sweep.
No one here.
What is he, SWAT? He's going to be like, all clear.
Fuck you. But yeah, so, I mean, it's really scary. Imagine all the stories different security guards have.
Yeah.
Because they probably see the most terrifying stuff on a daily basis. But yeah, if you're a security guard and you have a scary story, send it to us.
Send us the other ones too, author of this email.
Yeah.
We definitely want to hear them. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get into the next story of the episode. This one's from Brian, who is watching live right now.
Hello, Brian.
And the subject name is Bedtime. And it starts out like this.
Sounds hot.
Hello, our marvelous Duke of Spook, Adam, and other people.
What?
I really like that intro, considering that I was just being physically abused before this story started. I'm writing...
I don't know how I feel about this. Hold on. Delete.
I'm writing with more stories from growing up in a haunted house. I will say, after they sent this in, they mentioned to us privately, I might have been too mean in my intro, and I'm like, it's great. Just leave it. All right, it continues. When my mother, sister, and I first moved into my childhood home, there were some renovations that needed to be done on some of the rooms to make them more livable. I mean, we could have stayed in rooms with wallpaper from the 50s, but ew. I can't read. Ew. If you put an extra W on the word ew, I have to read it ew. So the first couple months, my sister and I shared a bedroom while the attic bedrooms were being stripped and painted.
Oh my gosh, this story's getting even hotter.
This proved to be a chore as we discussed. Was it hot in the first place?
Yeah,
first you were offended and now
bedroom,
you're turned on by
the
it.
The title is bedroom. I was like, hot.
And yeah, you're right. Now the bedroom's stripping. Could be hotter. Stripping their way through college.
You know what's hot? It's fucking temperature in Vegas.
You know what's hot? Not interrupting. This proved to be a chore.
Fuck.
This is called Storytime. This proved to be a chore as we discovered there were about 4 layers of wallpaper plastered atop one another. I fucking hate that. So it was taking longer than expected, much to my sister's and my chagrin, as we did not like sharing a bedroom. She especially hated it as I had a bad habit of waking up late at night crying because my leg hurt. A couple of times a week this would happen, and when my mother would check my leg, she would find an angry red mark on my calf that looked as if someone had slapped me.
That's scary.
The nighttime attacks would subside for a while after the room was sprinkled with holy water.
That's creepy.
They would return after a brief respite. Once the attic...
Is it respite?
It's respite. Once the attic bedrooms were done, and my sister and I moved into our rooms, the late night attacks seemed to stop, as if whatever was hurting me was confined to the previous bedroom.
That's creepy. What if somebody had actually died in that bedroom?
That
They're like,
be.
this is my room, and you need to get out of my room.
It could be that. It could be psychosomatic because you were scared and your body developed that sort of injury with your fear.
I mean,
or it could be a demon.
Some people get grumpy and they just pinch you. Have you ever had like a relative just pinch you because they were annoyed?
My grandma actually used to do that sometimes.
Really?
So, yeah. All right, I'm going to continue. 20-some-odd years later, my sister and I she never did it to me. I've heard stories that she used to do it. I'm going to continue. 20-some-odd years later, my sister and I were talking about how weird it was that the entity in that room seemed to only attack me. This is when she shared a secret. Secrets don't keep friends, people. Just telling you. She had been the one who would slap my leg all those years ago. So I was right. It was a demon.
What a biznatch.
Apparently, I would snore so loud, it would wake her.
Oh,
It would keep her awake if she didn't fall asleep before my nightly nasal rumblings, and in desperation, she would sneak over to my side of the room, slap my leg hard enough to wake me, then sneak back to her bed before my mom would make it into the room to check on me. This is funny. I called her the night demon for a while after she shared that bit of information. I predicted that.
I am guilty of totally hating when Adam starts snoring sometimes.
Maybe go to bed sooner.
Fuck you. If I don't fall asleep first, I just hear it while I'm up doing whatever I need to do or whatever I want to do, because sometimes it's just playing Pop Town on my phone. But sometimes I just have to lean over to him and just shove him a little bit because
she's lying. She elbows the shit out of my ribs.
Or sometimes I just shake him a bunch, or I'll pet his head really hard.
Yeah, she pets my head like she's trying to give me a bald spot.
Because I'm just like, shut up. You know what I mean?
The email continues. My troubles didn't end completely when we got our own bedrooms, however. The attic bedrooms had little miniature doors that led to crawl spaces.
No, that's fucked. Okay.
My sister and I weren't allowed in there because there were exposed nails and broken glass. My sister knew I wouldn't listen to the dire warnings from my mother about how I could injure myself if I went into the crawl space, so she devised her own story. When she saw me eyeing the little crawl space door with obvious temptation, she said, "Don't go in there. You'll let the monster out." She had me so frightened of the crawl space monster that whenever I heard the house groan or settle, as old houses do, my child brain interpreted it as hungry monster noises. When winter arrived, my sister found that her crawl space door wouldn't stay latched and would just pop open, letting a draft into her bedroom.
That's terrifying, because that screams demons.
She let my mom know about it, and so they attached a little slide lock to the door so she could keep it closed. After the slide lock was installed, I saw it and asked my sister why her crawl space door had a lock and mine didn't. She responded with, "Oh, the monster figured out how to open doors and we only had one lock. Good night."
That's messed up.
That's fucked up, hilarious, and I'm a fan of your sister because this shit is all gold. The email ends. So, I know neither of these stories were about the actual ghosts or spirits that inhabited our home, but I promise to write back more about those after I have a chance to chat with my evil sister, just to make doubly sure that any other hauntings I recall were not just her pulling a prank. Keep on creeping on, Brian. P.S. Oh yeah. Hi, Robin.
Hello. I just think it's hilarious because I think siblings like that are some of the funnest, where, you know, you're a lot younger and they just create these stories for you, you know, even though it's meant to scare you. Sometimes, at least for me, I enjoy that little bit of extra imagination, a little bit of extra storytelling, a little flavor on your life.
I mentioned my brother didn't used to pull pranks like that. My brother was more like the you're adopted kind of brother. Like just mess with you mentally. But one of the things that my brother did do that it reminded me of during this story was one time my mom was driving home on the freeway and she was going super fast and we got pulled over. And my mom decided to say like that we were being obnoxious in the back seat because we typically were. And this was one instance where we actually weren't. At least that's what I recall. My mom will probably say we were being little pieces of shit. But when the cop came to the window and asked, like, what's going on? She was like, I'm sorry. I lost track of my speed because I was yelling at my kids back there. And I'm like, listening. I'm like, is she fucking blaming us to this cop right now? And I was super young. So I was like kind of scared. And I looked at my brother. I'm like, what's happening? And he leans over and he goes, you're going to jail. And I started crying my eyes out because I was so convinced the cop was going to take me to jail. So
I told you about the time, right, where my mom was like, the cops are going to come get you. You better pack your things. And she made me put all my clothes into trash bags.
So funny.
And she had me have all my clothes into trash bags before, you know, you realize like, no, the cops aren't going to get you as long as you say sorry type shit.
That's so
parents
funny.
do the craziest things, and it's hilarious.
We should make a podcast called Parents Do the Craziest Things instead of Kids Say the Darndest Things. No one steal that. I'll sue you. All right. So before we move into our next story, we are going to take a really quick commercial break. And we're back.
All right. So I'm going to get into my next story here, and it begins... Hey, Robin and Adam.
Hello.
Hello. Jaren and Amanda here again with some homegrown horrors. Feel free to read on the podcast. This is the podcast.
Indeed,
we're going to read it. So when I was 8, I had this strange dream that my family was visiting New York. My brother, dad, and I were in a really tall hotel just getting settled. I realized my mom wasn't there and went over to our room's balcony. By the way, this must have been a fancy-ass hotel, which is weird. We never stay in those because, you know, money. Anyway, I looked down onto the street and saw everyone running to the left. I looked up and there was a chariot on fire in the sky that was making its way down to the street from the right.
That seems biblical in some ways.
There's got to be a reason for it. Like, you know what I mean? How dreams have interpretations? There has to be an interpretation for a fiery chariot in the sky. There was one person moving towards it. It was my mom. I was panicking and then fire started raining down. My dad and brother kneeled as if they were going to pray and then just died. So I did the same and woke up.
It's like you saw someone kneel, start praying, and then died. So you're like, I guess I'll do that too.
So now here's the scariest part. I remember this dream really well and was telling my mom about it one night a few years later. To my surprise, she said that she had a similar dream, but in her dream, we were all in New York, but she didn't know where my dad, brother, or I were.
This is creepy.
She was walking down the street and everyone was running in the opposite direction. She was calm and kept walking towards a chariot that was on fire in the sky, and then she woke up. We both were surprised and a little freaked. Those dreams lined up so well. My family jokes that my mom and I can never go to New York together or we'll trigger the apocalypse. Not scary, but 2 funny things that have happened to us in our current house. Our very first night in our house was July 1st. Literally nothing was going... which is funny. Is it July 1st? Oh, that's tomorrow. Okay.
This will come out on July 2nd, so right around there.
Literally nothing was going on in our area, and we were up late unpacking and getting our bed together so we could go to sleep. Insert likely sex joke from Adam.
Hot. Chicka wow wow. That's all I'll do.
Shortly after we fell asleep, like 30 to 45 minutes, I woke up because I heard the sound of a mortar leaving a tube. Fireworks, gotta be. Unfortunately for my husband, he did not hear that sound, so he woke up to the loud bang as the firework exploded right outside our bedroom window.
Second loud bang
Seriously.
that night. Boom!
Oh my god!
There's your sex joke.
Oh god, okay. Damn it. The firework misfired and ended up exploding right outside our bedroom window on the 2nd floor. My husband woke up screaming, like Exorcist style, started screaming, and continued as he sat straight up.
I can just imagine it like the most high-pitched scream. I know it probably wasn't, but it's just so much funnier in my mind's eye that way.
Unrelated to that, a few months later, we were living there. We heard the doorbell ring repeatedly and a weird buzzing sound. We weren't sure what the buzzing was about, but we were a little irritated that someone would ring the doorbell repeatedly. We checked the front door and no one was there. We both got so freaked out because it was still going off and the buzzing was incessant. We checked the front door again and realized the doorbell ringer was so old and must have been hit earlier and then got stuck. The buzzing was the doorbell's creepy sound of electricity running through it. That's also not the only time that's happened. Each time, it was after the doorbell was rung a few hours beforehand.
It's weird. It's weird that it takes several hours for that circuit to just start making that noise and then like repeating the doorbell over and over.
We were just discussing this at work today about how we have all the fire alarms decommissioned because they were screaming. Okay.
They're malfunctioning. We have made an appointment for them to be replaced. So
yes, but our fire alarms were freaking screaming, and all my coworkers were like, "Why? What the hell is wrong with your fire alarm?"
I would like to say that if something were to happen and Robin and I were to perish in flames due to a house fire that we were not alerted to, don't let anyone run with a story, especially other fucking paranormal podcasts like they dug too deep into the darkness and it came for them. Like, no. It was negligence. It was not that. It was the fact that we did not have fire alarms because we're stupid. I want everyone to fact check that shit.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, our fire alarms have had issues since we moved in. I mean, you guys have heard the story of the one that had a battery explode.
It's so funny.
It's just, I'm so sick of fire alarms screaming at me, right? So they're all decommissioned. And I just thought it was so funny. Anyway. The doorbell reminded me of the screaming fire alarms. All right, it continues. Side note, we just listened to episode 145 where Robin talked about Pike Place Market. Jaren and I live in Seattle area and I've been to Pike's numerous times. I had no idea that it was haunted. We had one of our first dates there. Oh, and got our engagement photos done at Pike's. That's so sweet. Including a few shots in front of the gum wall both times. Fun fact, they occasionally scrape off the old gum and let the people of Seattle rebuild it.
Gross.
They have
Imagine
the technology.
having that job. You just get handed like a fucking thing.
Scrape it off.
Start scraping. Yep. Here's this in a garbage bag.
Okay, it continues. I hope you guys don't mind, but we had 2 topic ideas.
Not at all.
We both really like the Halloween episodes where you read Edgar Allan Poe stories. We think that the Mask of the Red Death would be a great read like this. I think it's seriously underrated. It's seriously underrated story from Poe.
We considered it actually.
And then, oh really?
Yeah, me and Garrett talked about it quite a bit.
And then the Pacific Tree Octopus. My teacher in high school insists that it's real.
Yeah, I've heard about
and had
this.
us all do a project on it / them. I think it's pretty interesting. Shout out to Dr. Tim Fowler for bringing this stupid cryptid to life for a bunch of high schoolers. He's amazing and I really miss seeing him. Oh, that's so sweet. Hope that's not overstepping to suggest. No, it's great. Please don't feel obligated to do either. We probably will do the Mask of the Red Death if you guys were talking about it before.
We're definitely going to do the fucking tree octopus.
Thanks for always bringing some fun to our lives. Zaboomafoo is a damn lie. Keep on creeping on. A shout out to Spooky Mom, Amanda, and Jared. Thank you so much. And we really appreciate you guys sending your stories in because I think that we can relate to some of these, right?
Absolutely.
Adam definitely appreciates screaming at the fireworks. But that's really scary.
It's
Imagine
so
hearing
funny.
an explosion, though, outside your window. You know what I mean? It's terrifying.
Sometimes creepy stuff happens or shocking stuff happens and like you just can't help it. And I know I would probably scream in a super high-pitched tone, so that's why I'm like, God, that's so fucking funny.
I scared Adam today. It was great.
But she doesn't do a normal scare. She doesn't do a jump scare. She does I'm going to stand here for as long as I can, being real fucking creepy, and see how long it takes him to notice. And I'm in the shower. So I'm like, all right, let's do the butt crack. And then I turn and I see a fucking face staring at me.
Yeah, because all I did was just stick my head in past the shower curtain. And he's just his face, though. It was so terrified. Because you know how you look at something and then you're scared at what you see. So you jerk and look the other way real quick, but then you turn back. That's what Adam did. It was just, it was hilarious that he was so terrified.
Hilarious. I get it, though. I scare Robin.
But he didn't scream.
No.
Unfortunately.
I didn't do the gasping, shaking thing that Robin does every time she's afraid either. So that's dangerous to do in the shower. Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you so much one more time for sending that in.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to move into our last story of the evening. And this subject is my first experience with sleep paralysis. And it starts out like this. Hello, Adam and Robin. Hello.
Hello.
Fellow former Las Vegan here. I submitted a story a while back about the light switches being wired together. Yes. I fucking love that story.
Adam, and I love that story.
That is the perfect story for like creepy coincidental. Something scared you, but it turned out
that is literally
totally
our bar for what is creepy coincidental. Because that story is the reason why when we ask for stories, we're like, it could be creepy and coincidental. It's because of that story.
That story is so fucking funny. Okay. So they sent in the story a while back about the light switches being wired together, and my brother and I kept turning on each other's lights throughout the night, but didn't know it at the time. This story is a bit different and just happened 2 nights ago. Apologies, if this story is a little long, but I hope you enjoy it. This story is about the first time I experienced sleep paralysis, and it happened twice in one night. Without giving away too much detail, I was on call this week for my work, and part of that is waking up in the middle of the night for live sporting events.
Wait, what? What is your job? I want to know.
I think they're going to tell us a little bit later.
Okay.
Earlier in the week, I bought an indoor camera, and at some point I received a notification from the camera to my phone. In parentheses, video attached to the email. I've watched the video already. For the listeners, what I saw in the video reminded me of an orb floating by. Kind of like what you would see in a paranormal show. That's exactly what it looked like. It's normally people are like, oh, it's a dust mote. But it does this thing where it moves. It doesn't just float on like a draft. It just seems to adjust its trajectory.
What do you think about the cat's haunted butthole?
I think that is just dust. It's not a haunted butthole.
But it looks like it comes out of the cat.
No, it doesn't. It just crosses in front of the cat's butthole and then approaches the camera.
Really?
It's not a haunted butthole. Can't believe you actually brought this up in the middle of this wonderful story.
Okay, I'm sorry, but that video is it's just funny. I mean, it looks like there's something coming out of the cat.
Okay.
Just saying. If you haven't seen it, just look it up.
I'm going to keep going.
Okay.
All right. The email continues. Now, I don't believe it was actually anything besides dust or something that triggered my camera, but my head immediately went to one of those paranormal orbs in my apartment. Fast forward to that night. I had woken up for a sporting event, but I was really tired, so I checked. Everything was good at the start, and then I went back to sleep. I couldn't fall asleep right away, but I eventually entered what seemed like a very light sleep, as I could still hear my fan blowing. While laying in my bed half asleep, I started hearing what sounded like whispering coming from behind me, but I would like to point out that I live alone. Immediately after, I felt the bed moving like someone was crawling in.
No.
And then I felt an arm wrap around me like it was the big spoon.
No.
My eyes opened and I was staring at my wall while still feeling like I was being held by whatever was there. I tried to speak, but nothing besides breath came out. I tried to move, but nothing happened.
That is some sleep paralysis right there.
My mind went straight to, okay, I know what is happening, and I need to wake up.
Yep.
So with all the force I could, and what felt like all the muscles in my body, I tried to move, and eventually I could feel my fingers wiggle. I broke out of the paralysis and looked around and didn't see anything. I am the kind of person that loves to have scary dreams at night because I find it entertaining, and if things get too intense, I know it's a dream and can wake myself up. When this happened, I was pretty creeped out, but I knew it was a dream, and some mild sleep paralysis. I was still too tired, so I pretty much just tried to go back to sleep.
My sister, I don't know if I've told you guys this before, but there was one time, she loves to sleep on the couch downstairs at her house. She rarely sleeps in her bed, at least before, when I used to live with her still. And she lived alone before me, too. But she would sleep on her couch when she lived by herself. And she would have the TV on in the background or whatever. There was one night or one afternoon, she came home from school or something, and she took a nap on the couch. And her face was facing the inside of the couch. And she said she was starting to fall asleep, and she started seeing shadows walking across, like on the couch. You can see the shadows moving across the room on the couch, and she could hear people talking. And she was like so freaked out by it. I don't know if she'll listen to this, but when she told me that, I was like, "Fuck!"
Yeah, I really want to move.
And now that my grandma's passed away in there, I'm even more scared of ghosts. I'm just like, what if her house is actually haunted? You know what I mean? It's
the house
terrifying.
Does seem to have some events that have happened in it prior.
Really?
I'm just saying, based off of the two things you just said.
Okay.
She's like, really?
No,
Did you feel something?
Yeah,
no, I just heard your words.
Just because I've had weird stuff happen and it turned out to be coincidences. So
I will keep going.
Okay.
Excuse me, my voice keeps cracking nowadays. I will keep going. I will keep going. I don't know what it is. It's because my voice is all fucked up.
What the?
What?
I will say your voice is not that low. You don't have one of those deep...
Your voice is not that low.
I love you.
I love you. All right.
What the fuck?
I once again entered a light sleep, but this time it seemed like my eyes were open or something because I was able to see my room. The way I was facing in my... If you hear like things clinking in the background, that's Robin's ice cubes as she continues to drink Fireball straight. This chick is hardcore.
No, it's not.
The way I was facing in my room, I was able to see from the bedroom into the dark kitchen in the next room. While laying there with my eyes open, I started seeing something moving in the kitchen.
Okay.
Whatever it was started moving towards me and coming into the room. I couldn't really make out what it was, but it looked like an older lady from what I remember.
I'm just thinking of that scene from
The Shining?
It Part 2, where the old lady's like stepping out of the shadows type of thing.
It walked next to my bed and stopped at a window right by my bed that has my clothes hamper underneath. It looked like it was staring at my hamper, and while that was happening, I once again tried to talk, but nothing came out. It slowly started to look over at me, and then it started moving towards me and climbing on my bed.
It was judging your laundry
Getting
habits.
super sexy. This time, I was pretty creeped out, but again knew what was happening and forced myself to move and wake myself up. I woke up completely, and nothing was there, so I just thought it was another dream and went back to sleep for a third time.
Jeez.
This time, I woke up to my alarm clock to get ready for work that morning. I enjoy a good ghost story, and I would love to go somewhere haunted and experience something paranormal, but at the end of the day, I am pretty skeptical about it all. I didn't think it was ghosts or anything, and I knew that sleep paralysis can be caused by getting a bad night's sleep, which I was, because I had to wake up for work. It was pretty creepy, though, and I had never experienced it before. The hallucinations really gets you in that state, and it's pretty crazy what your mind thinks up. Pausing. It is not just creepy that the fact that you're having hallucinations, it's that you have them while fucking paralyzed. You can't speak, you can't move, you can't defend yourself, and you're hallucinating is typically terrifying shit.
The thing I always freak out about is when I'm trying to scream. I'm trying to scream and my mouth is opening, but nothing comes out.
I dream that every time your mouth opens. I put that demon on you.
God damn it, babe. But like, I've had it where I've screamed and screamed and screamed and nothing came. Shut up!
And nothing came out.
And nothing came out. And it's just, you can feel the air trying to leave your lungs and no sound comes out. And I think
it's
those
like your vocal cords are paralyzed.
Yeah, and those instances have always scared me when that happens.
Yeah.
I know if that happens, I'm like, either this is a horrifying dream or sleep paralysis.
It's the feeling of being completely helpless, and it sucks. The hallucinations really get you in that state. I read that. I hope to not experience it again, and I haven't since so far, but what an experience it was. I think subconsciously, this all probably started because of the video with the orb, probably just dust, that made me think of the paranormal, and because I was in that light sleep, my mind/body played tricks on me. That's all for this story, and once again, sorry that this was so long. I hope you enjoyed it, and this can be shared on the podcast.
Thank you
so much for your time, Scarish Fan. Well, thank you, Scarish Fan, for sending that in. And again, setting the bar really high on stories because I thought that was fucking fantastic. And honestly, sleep paralysis is probably one of the most common things we get written about because I think it is far more common than the rates that you see about it, like being like 5 to 10% or something like that. I feel like half the people at least that I've ever met or talked to about it have experienced sleep paralysis at one point or another. And most of them that say like, oh yeah, I've never had it, eventually do get it. So it's definitely something that's been around for as long as like human beings have like had dreams. Which is why I think there's so many stories about like old hag syndrome. Mm-hmm. And again, this story has an old lady in it. So don't know why that is such a common theme with sleep paralysis, but you really got to wonder what the hell are dreams? What the hell is sleep paralysis? Because in the end, like, we don't fucking know.
Sometimes you just get like these horrifying ones, you know? And my most recent one was the one I've told on the podcast, I think before, where it was just like, I was in a hotel. We were both in a hotel room. And some creepy, terrifying creature pushed, it was like a maid, but a terrifying, creepy maid, pushed a cart in and then started turning into this demon that was coming closer and closer and closer. It was fucking terrifying.
Which hotel was that? Which vacation was that?
It wasn't on a vacation. We weren't on a vacation.
Oh, it was a dream?
It was a dream. It was or a night terror, whatever. It was terrifying.
Right on. Well, thank you one more time, Scarish Fan, for sending that in. And yeah, we hope to hear from more of you if you have stories somewhere. Yeah. A lot of times you hear a story and you're like, fuck, I just remembered something.
Yes.
Write it in.
Yeah, write it in. Stop right now. maybe if you don't want to stop, you don't have to. Type
Are
while
you
you're
driving
listening
on
to
the freeway right now? Lock up those brakes, get out your phone, and write us that email.
No, don't fucking do that. That's bad advice. Just hopefully, when you get to wherever you're going, just take some time out of your day and type a story, your experience into us, and we would love to share those with the rest of the Spooky fam.
Indeed. So thank you one more time. All right. So one more time, thank you to everyone who sent in their stories tonight. We sincerely appreciate it. If you have a story, or if you have a friend that has a story, or a family member that you would like to share, or you would like to encourage them to share, please have them or you email storytime@scarish.com or go to our website, scarish.com, and click on Contact Us. Fill out the form. It comes directly to us, or hit us up on our social medias if you like that better. Facebook is facebook.com/scarishpodcast. Twitter is @scarishpod. And Instagram is @scarishpodcast. Robin, for folks who would like to donate to us, how can they do so?
You can go to patreon.com/scarishpodcast. Those are monthly donations. Tiers start at $1. So at $1, you get ad-free episodes. You can't really go wrong there. And there's also physical merch tiers as well. If you're not into the whole monthly subscription setup, we also have one-time donations. We actually had someone reach out to us recently and ask us if we still did that. Yes, we do. If you like the one-time donation type things, go to ko-fi.com/scarish podcast. Those are one-time donations. All your donations go to helping us upgrade our studio setup, kind of keep us going, keep us creating more stuff for you peeps.
Keeps us creeping on. So I think that's everything we have for this episode of Storytime, unless I'm forgetting something. But thank you so much for listening. We love you all. And thank you for those who watch live. You are the bestest, better than all the restest. Mainly the ones that don't listen or watch at all. But we love you guys. So, all right, go ahead, Robin, and sign us out.
And everyone else, keep on creeping on.
And we'll talk to you next week. Bye.